I am joined by Gavin, Kale, who qualified for the $3,000 webcam championship this weekend. Gavin qualified on Swiss points. He played in 2 out of the 3 events. I think you went 4-1 in both of the events and then lost in top 8. You weren't able to make it to our 3rd event. Tim technically qualified. You were 5th in Swiss points, but Tim had something come up, which means that Gavin is in. Despite having to miss the last event, an 8-2 record is, I would say, not too shabby for the first couple events. Who did you play for both of them?
So for the first one, it was all Rodon. This was technically Rodon's first premiere thing right after the Godzilla decks came out, and I'm an aggressive player, so I played all. And then in the second one, it was Chaos Knot with Risky Encounter and Rampage, and just again, really aggressive, push everything in real quick.
All right, so we know what you're going to be. Aggressive 7-hander going into Saturday.
Yeah.
That seems to be the style. So how did you get into Universes at the beginning?
So I've been a Yu-Gi-Oh player for a long time. My locals stocked set 1 of this game in 2021, and it just sat in our shelves for like the 8 months. I thought it was like a Weiss Schwartz kind of thing, like some random card game took a hold of my hero. So I didn't want to look at it then. Whenever we restocked Crimson Rampage, I was like, oh, there's like a second set. So they're still going with it. I opened up some of the packs and it all started there, just kept buying a bunch of Crimson Rampage decks and being like, oh, wow, this is really cool. And then discovering that that was like the worst set and like everything else is better after that. So, yeah.
You and me started at the same time. My brother and I bought in at Crimson Rampage, and I remember opening it up and being like, "Oh, that's cool. We've got an Excited for Blood. It's like $15."
Yeah, happened to me too. Yeah. We pulled the XR at the time and I was like, whoa, this is like $45. Whoa. Holy crap.
Yeah. Who was your first character when you started?
My first character was, I think, Mei Hatsume, just because it has that very clear, like, you pulled a box full of babies. Here's the character that says box full of babies. And I was like, all right, I'll make it work.
Right. All right. Who is your favorite UVS character that you've played so far? And then your favorite attack?
My favorite character has to be Eraserhead 2. Probably the most slept on character ever. Like I'm so surprised that I took it to second place at a regional and then nothing after that. Like everybody was like, I don't care. But it's still one of those characters that's just like so hard to deal with. Like you either half block everything to keep me from drawing, and so like now I'm playing throw tribal in like a deck that's not playing throws, or you full block everything, I draw a billion cards, and then give everything so much speed so that prone to dries, you eventually hit you with like 10 damage, and or you just take everything and I kill you. But
Yeah, that event was like lightning in a bottle. You got second. I think it was like 200 players. You only got seconds to a player now banned for cheating, so who knows? You could be first. Um, but very, very well. And then we never saw Eraserhead 2 again. It's hard to tell, like, so many characters do well consistently at events just because the player base plays them. We have 200 plus characters. Do you think Eraserhead 2 today is still good, or do you think he's fallen behind?
I think he's still as good as he was then, and I think any player who plays more than like 5 games will get it. They'll discover that they should play it at a regional too. I think now with like Rampage underwater and like dual needle lunge was such a huge thing. Like I played on like Tam stream 1 game, lost the die roll and still went in. And it's just like even whenever you're clearing the card pool, so that you're not getting a ton of speed from Eraserhead, you're still just saying if you full block me, I get to replace my card, and then I clear my card pool, so I don't have to play on progressive, which has been one of the big things that people are scared of with Eraserhead too. So yeah, he didn't get anything from Attack on Titan, but the Godzilla structure deck with Rampage is just like so insane for him. Yeah, I'm gonna be sad whenever he rotates. Very
Yeah.
sad.
And who's your favorite? What is your favorite attack?
Oh, probably dual needle lunge. I think when that attack released, I was like, we were dealing with like Crow and Frog just getting banned at the time. Um, and it's like, oh, an attack that just says it doesn't count towards progressive. And it's like, now I do the same thing, but I pay 3 life and get a momentum instead. I mean, that's just bread and butter. Like an attack that clears the card pool, essentially giving 1 less difficulty to everything for the rest of the turn, and you get a momentum. It's just like, especially as an aggro piece, is like amazing. Like that's my favorite attack for sure.
Was that dual needle lunge?
Dual needle lunge, yeah.
Yeah. I had just called that one of the most overrated attacks on my Twitter.
I think if you're talking like maybe top 15 attacks in the game, it has to be mentioned somewhere in there, especially like, I mean, like right now, Ymir is making a huge case for that card of just being like, oh, perfect for her. I don't think it's like the best. I don't think I would put it in top 10 in the entire game, but it's just one of my favorites. Like it's so simple and it's an amazing aggro piece. There's a lot more like, oh, this attack has breaker 3 or breaker 2. So it's pretty good. Or it has a busted deadlock like Vile
Yeah.
Seasoning, but
Yeah, it does
yeah.
unlock things. If you draw it and like 4 other attacks on turn 2, it can be over pretty quick.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so give us your hottest universes take, something that everybody watching this is going to disagree with you about.
I think we put too much into defense. I think even the decks that are trying to be mid range are trying to wall up and block everything. I think the amount of times that people get disrespected because their offense is so lacking. Like personally, a player like me, I have nothing to fear whenever people are talking about how Recovery Girl is so crazy, because whenever you just play your entire hand turn 2 and then maybe you fail your last attack check and don't build anything, but you deal like 20 damage to Recovery Girl, and then she plays like 2 throws at you and passes, you do the same thing again next turn and kill her. I think a character like that that's just like pure defense. I think my hot take is that defense is way overvalued in this game, especially at the cost of offense. I think like all Rodon for me is the better pick than Void Rodon, because you just always have that ability to snap like 8 speed, 10 damage moves at people and kill them very, very quickly. Whereas Void is just like, I'll sit back and maybe I won't die. Maybe I will sometimes. You play against the super aggro with your super defense and it could be a toss up. But yeah, that's my hot take. It's just we got to value aggro more than defense.
Okay. Yeah, that's the complete off. I went the complete opposite on Void Rodan, and Atlanta was like, "All
Yeah.
right, yeah, I can't kill people. I'll just mill them. Let's just
Yeah.
completely wall up." But I generally agree with you. It's the decks with a core, consistent philosophy on how to kill someone and do it consistently that do well. At least in my experience, I've done best on those decks on the like Capture Evildoers Mirio, the Phantom Thread and the Chaos Amajiki, just doing City Rampage into tons of attacks. So yeah, I could see that a little bit, that good players can defend enough to get that one extra turn they need to win the game.
Yeah. Yeah. There'll be so many times where, like, okay, cool, you blocked everything that your opponent is playing, but if you don't backswing them hard enough, then it didn't really matter all that much. They could just do it to you again. So,
Yeah, no worse feeling than surviving an extra turn you shouldn't have survived and then drawing all gray, or
yeah,
having
that's
like a
so
maximum,
true.
yeah, output of 10 damage or something. Um,
Yeah. I
all
hate
right,
that.
give us the number one IP you want to join the game of universes.
It's got to be Dun to Dun. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but that anime is like, it's just like a new shonen anime with like, it reminds me a lot of what My Hero tries to do, with like a little flair of romance and friendship tension everywhere. It's a little bit funny. The action is incredible. Um, the main thing is that some of the characters, no spoilers, they transform, and that we just got Attack on Titan and the Deku structure deck. So like a transforming character is perfect for this game. It would be so cool, even if it's like not a side set. I think if UVS would like do more with like the Tekken decks and the Tekken characters, where they just release like the 4 characters and that's it, like the Spy Family stuff like that, that would be perfect. That's all I really need. But like a full set once maybe 2027 or 2026 rolls around
Mhm.
could benefit the game. I mean, it's super popular, and I just want Universus, like UVS Games, to get a hold of that IP before it gets taken by some bigger corporation that's going to do a less like genuine treatment for it.
Okay, we started that. What was this? 2 months ago. My wife is like, "Hey, let's try this anime. I've heard good things about it," and so she clicked it, and we watched episode one. And when we got to like the alien scene, I was like, Shayla, what do you have us watching? Like, what is this? And it was good, but I was like, I was a little too. It was a little too weird. It was a little too odd for me. Should I watch? Should I watch on?
Yes, David. Yes, I promise. You're not until you get to maybe episode 9 will you have that feeling again. But by then you'll have an understanding of what the show is really about. That kind of episode does not happen like ever up until episode 9, and even then it was like much more sparse. But every
Okay.
episode, like two, like episode 8, remember, mark my words, when you get to it, everybody who knows what I'm talking about will understand what I see in the show. It is incredible.
Okay. I'm giving you until episode 8. I'll
Yeah,
give it
yeah.
7 more and start it
I
again. I
think
did.
you'll be sold if you like My Hero and all that. I think you'll be
Mhm.
sold easily by episode. Oh yeah, 2. 2 is the big one. You'll be sold by it. But episode 8, you'll be like, this isn't just a My Hero or a JoJo or some anime that's like really good. It's something really really special, like amazing. Everybody that I've
Okay.
shown it to has been like becoming obsessed about it, pretty much.
All right. I'll get back on. We're almost done with Fruits Basket, so I can jump it. So I can jump into a
Oh
new
yeah.
one. Um, all right. Final thing. Well, I guess 2 more questions. If you stop playing Universus, it will be because of what?
So I don't actually know if this is the real answer, but I think bad IPs is a huge one. I joke so much about like Rick and Morty coming to the game. I'd have to dip out. Like that's too embarrassing. Um, but I think after AOT 1, it will be the badly managed 300 card sets. I think I'm not super opposed to like Heroes of Exandria being 220 cards. Like that's still like maybe that should be by far the limit of the entire year, and then maybe we do like one 180 card set. But I'd like to see like if we need to have bigger sets than we've normally had. I think 150 is like the optimal upper bound, but just like 300 card sets, huge, like the priority of like draft and sealed, like causing the formula of the game to change is a really, really bad thing. I don't know if it was just an isolated incident for AOT 1, but the biggest thing would probably be the change to a 300 card set. I don't want to see anything like that ever again without like 2 rares being in every pack and then like 12 ultras in every pack or in every box. Like, you have to change things so much to make that work. Like, I mean, you could have cut 120 cards from AOT 1 and we would have been fine. And I would have rather just had 4 Attack on Titan sets, maybe one for each season, and that would have been better. The 300 card set was just awful. I think I bought a full case of it, and I didn't pull a single risky encounter. I think I've pulled like one of random rares, and then like 4 copies of that one like rare that revolves around like attacking a backup. That's another huge problem. I don't even know the names of so many cards from AOT 1. Like, it's 300 cards, man.
Yeah.
That's so many fresh
It
cards.
used to be.
We need a reprint set that has 300 cards. That's what we need. Like, oh my
Yeah, it
god.
used to be we would know names of every single card, but yeah, all those like ridiculous draft blank cards. Yeah, I don't know their names either. They're just
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, that's a part I would agree on you very much in the sense like that burned me out hardcore on buying a case of AOT1, and then it just it did not feel good.
Yeah.
I still had to buy all most of my ultra rares, so it was like, why didn't I just
Yeah.
stick to singles?
I already did that with like Yu Yu Hakusho Dark Tournament. Like
Mhm.
I think I bought 5 boxes or something like that. I should have bought more, but I think I pulled 2 Walk the Dogs in my case. So it's like I buy, $550 worth of product and still don't even get a playset of ultra rares is like rough. And then we almost double the size for Attack on Titan 1. And then we get an article from UVS saying it's going to keep happening. And I'm like, hey, I don't know about that. That's awful.
Yeah, we need to slow down a little bit. All right, so the last thing, who are you going to play? Who are you leaning towards playing today? And which character? And then which character do you think will actually win it if it's not the character that you're playing?
So I'm thinking about a Mimic as of right now. It was going to be Ymir just to go for the most meta play. But I
Mm-hmm.
think that Ymir actually does suffer um, from like getting turn two disrespected whenever she hasn't transformed and is only built, as much as she can to try to transform as quick as possible. Whereas like Mimic, no surprises about my build, but has a very good ability to just disrespect somebody else on turn two. Soup is an unbelievable card for that character. A foundation that just builds itself is like broken,
Are
obviously,
you
but
saying we could get a rampage mimic?
I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But um, yeah, I think yeah, the mimic. I mean, Trigger is just an amazing card. Being like 3 foundations over a turn cycle is like
Yeah.
unbelievable. Um, and then who I think would win. I mean, the obvious ones are Ymir or Bert too. I think those are the biggest ones. I think anybody like anything that isn't those 2 things is going to be something that either kills on turn 2 or actively debuilds them so that they can't transform. That's the boogeyman that the world revolves
Mm.
around. And then you're either got to kill them on turn 2 or you got to debuild them. Those are the 3 things you can do. I don't think playing a defensive game like a recovery girl is going to work out and trying to play the long game with those decks because like once Bert transforms, there's nothing you can do like pretty much.
Yeah. And defense is overrated.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. When
All
you
right.
you
You'll
got
be
to build
joining.
cards, you got to let your opponent build cards, and then they transform and you're dead. That's how it goes right now.
Yeah. You'll be joining my brother, I think, is also playing Mimic. He's been crushing with
Oh
it
yeah.
and crushing me with it.
I
So
won my
I'm,
locals last night, so I was pretty stoked to do that well, and it was against Ymir in the finals, and I was able to pull it through. So I feel good about it.
nice. All right. Well, if you want to root on Gavin and Mimic this Saturday, it will be streamed on Tam Cardwell's Twitch, 10 a.m. Central Time, 5 rounds of Swiss, 2 rounds of Top Cuts, 16 of the best players. Gavin, any last shout outs before we let you go?
Um, no, nothing more than like my locals. We've recently switched to Otaku Hangout. Our name is Lechuga. You'll see us around. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Probably shout out more in the deck profile, for first place or whatever.
All right. Perfect.